together a package, an aid package during the middle of this crisis. And Adam Surer caught this. This is from an article in The Atlantic. It's a profile on Katie Porter, who's a new progressive who got elected in 2018, right out here in California. The Dem leadership should listen to Katie Porter. The obsession with means testing while the economy is imploding is insane. Yes, it is insane. And that shows you how calcified the Democratic Party is, but here we go. So the interviewer says, what kind of things? Porter says, the speaker wants to explore refundable tax credits as a tool to help. That is too slow in my opinion. We need to get actual cash assistance to American families right now. Many of them are going to see a paycheck cut or jobs lost entirely. I've been calling, along with Mitt Romney, for an immediate cash stimulus.
Okay.
I shouldn't say stimulus because I really don't think it's a stimulus. It's a $1,000 cash payment to stabilize American households to be delivered before the crucial first of the month, April 1st, when so many people's bills become due. Republicans in Congress are negotiating with the Trump administration on a deal that would involve direct cash payments. Pelosi, per her spokesman, supports an approach targeted to the most in need. Targeted. So not a UBI, not a one-time cash payment.
Guess it would help if I
direct cash payment in the middle of
if I checked my audio.
Economic meltdown. She wants to mean
check.
Set
Check.
up a website, you fill
there we
out
go.
some forms, you have the IRS audit you later, you take it then and figure out how. She goes on, the fact that the speaker's talking about refundable tax credits, who has the time to wait to do their taxes and get a year from now? This is Katie Porter admonishing Nancy Pelosi's ridiculousness. But you turn on Rachel Maddow and Chris Hayes, and they're going to tell you what a great job Nancy Pelosi is doing to go against Trump. She's not going against Trump. She's further to the right than Trump. You fucking liars. Additionally, we should have mandated paid sick leave from the large corporations. The largest employers should not have received the subsidies, which is what we gave medium-sized employers. But we still should have mandated
I don't know why that's so fun.
Provide sick leave. And they didn't. They have the most flexibility and the most resources to do sick leave.
He's got to shut up for a second. I have ADD and I can't do it. Okay. Okay. Very shuffling. Now let's put a card in our hand. Drop a single card above the white name on the table. Oh, true. So it doesn't automatically shuffle. Okay. You're natural. Let's roll some dice. Shake your mouse. Huh. Okay. Let's. You know what? You know what? Let's put on something. Something. Make sure it's not too loud. Nah, it should be good. Oh, that's kind of cool. That's sick. Okay. That's interesting. I need to see something real quick. Okay, so it's on. Okay. Um. All right, we're back at it. So we can do all this bullshit. Spacebar resets us. Flip. F is flip. You can throw it. Let's get it back. Hold Alt while mousing over an object. Okay, that's sick. Q and E. And press right mouse. You can also grab more than one object by left click dragging a box. Oh, I see. Like that. That's kind of cool. Okay, that's way easier. See the whole shebang-a-bang. Okay. One more action. The contextual menu has all sorts of options. You can deal cards, name objects, color tint, and much more. Right click on an object to bring it up. Question or / will bring up a menu with all the controls. Open and close this menu to proceed. Optionally, you can press escape, then click the help menu. Okay, this is cool. Time for some mayhem. Press flip button on the top bar. On the fucking what? On the top bar. On the top bar. Woo! That's cool. Go is like a really fun game. On the top bar, I don't understand what the fuck that means. Sounds, lines, flick, join text, gizmo. On the top bar. Huh. Alright, well. Not quite fucking sure what that means. I don't understand. Oh, that. Okay. So maybe we should try Mageknight? And see if we can like join a Mageknight game. A lot of locked Mageknight games. This one's not locked. Um, hmm. These guys probably aren't gonna like it, but I'm joining their game. Okay, never mind. It was full. Mm-mm. Maybe we can try to play a couple different games. Let's fucking uh, uh. Can you message these people? I wonder if you can like slash tell. Is there like a slash document? Um, how do I don't even know if they can see me. So slash message. Oh, okay, cool. So let's say um. All right, let's just say hi. MSG. Oh wait, no, that's I got it. Cole underscore green. Hmm. Hmm. All right. Well, I don't know if they're messaging back. So let's try it again. It's right here. Unless that person logged out. Yeah, a bunch of people logged. Well, maybe not. We'll see, I guess. Yeah, that person logged out. Let's try a different one. Yeah, that'd be kind of lame. Let's see if there's other games. Maybe we can kind of fuck around a little bit. Holy fuck, there's so many games. Alright, forget that. Let's create. Let's do a single player game. Let's just mess around with whatever we've got. Huh. I wonder what kind of games they have. I don't remember what game it is, if it was like Reversey or Go. God damn, it's loud. This is a cool remix, though. Too bad they don't have like Mancala or something. Oh, what the fuck is this? Oh, so it doesn't do like a computer? That sucks. Get me the fuck out of here. So let's create a multiplayer game. Alright, let's try to, you know what? We just gotta, I guess we gotta message everybody. Let's see if we can get someone to let us in. It's nice, spell bot. They're all fucking full. I guess maybe it's Brazil. I don't even know how to make that symbol. Can I copy their shit? So did Cole Green, is he like just not gonna fucking message me back like little bitch? So Cole Green got that message. Well, I'm guessing there's really not much I can do. I guess maybe we can wait for a little bit, try to see if we can't. So now that we kind of like understand, so I can look at this. The fuck is this? Oh, that's cool. Pyramid chests, mage spawn tokens, dungeon tokens, tiles. Then you have all the abilities. So wait, what is that? Oh, it's dungeon bullshit. I mean, this is cool. Huh. So it's cool. You can like build out like that's sick. How do you place shit back inside? Like that. Okay. You exit out of that, and so I click on this, and I click search, and then we go blop. We go blop. Wait, what the fuck? No, what the fuck? What the hell? Oh, bitch, stay there. Oh, you just gotta hold it longer. Okay. I think we're getting the hang of this. Not sure where the fuck I can't move that. 7 train, 7 water, block train, hindering, train 3D. Okay. I think we're kind of getting this. I think maybe we're kind of getting this. Let's see what this looks like. Let's just grab one out, flop it down. Or what is it? It's Alt. What the fuck is that? It's terrain. Oh, I see. So let's do this so I get it. I mean, sure, okay, yeah, alright, maybe. That shit can go right back in here. Let's take a look at this water. I don't know why it's upside down, but okay. So it's like a lake. And these are like little like river paths or something. Okay, I can kind of see that. I mean, this is kind of cool. You have like different block formations, rocks and stuff. I mean, it's, if I'm being real, it's like kind of trash, but Sinister Rebels. Dungeon, pyramid, hero click. Oh. Okay. Interesting. How did I stand it upright? Oh, what the fuck? Oh, how the fuck do I chat? Oh, did that just take like a really long time to load? Is that what that was? I mean, that's kind of cool. How do you, equipable... Okay, but how do you take damage in this? Oh. So maybe it's this? Nope, not that. Maybe it's this then. Oh, it is. Okay. Okay, that's cool. That's real cool. Okay. I think I kind of get it. I still don't know how I like got that character up though. Is it loading? The sound. I did something, right? Oh, so you gotta hit like the little red. I see. Make multiple. So you gotta separate them. Oh, okay, this is easy. Okay, we got this. This is sick. Okay, I think I got this. Now, the only thing, zone, how do you randomize hands, fog of war, scripting, flick, text, gizmo, move, rotate space, decal point, line. Oh, I see. Oh, nice. Okay. And then it'll just go away on its own, I'm guessing. But we measure how many inches based off of this. Okay. That's sick. Okay, so now, what is this? Oh. Bip, 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 bip. Fuck. Okay, so let's see if we can't like bring some people into these games. Um, um, okay, well, that was cool. Um, Now, unfortunately, I don't think there's anyone else I can really play with right now, so we're going to have to end up switching this to something a little bit different. Okay. I thought it was going to take longer, to be honest. But it's really cool. In fact, I know I should message. Holy fuck, I just slurred my words so hard. I know who I should message. What is this? Hell to the fuck no. What is this? Okay, this actually jams. Okay. Okay, damn, I just spit everywhere and shit. Alright, what should we do? Should we play like a different game? We play TFT. I didn't think this was gonna be like that easy. Let's see if there's anyone. Let's see if anybody has a game. I don't know how to make that sign. I feel like it's like a Japanese sign or something. Alright, well, fuck it for now. How the fuck? Okay, so what should we change it to? Okay. I don't even remember what I was doing in 11. Let's see. I could do 11. We could do Temtem. We could do. Let's see if 11 still works. You know what? We haven't done Temtem in a while. Kind of want to do Temtem. Let me take a look real quick. Let's take a look. See. Oh, this is actually cool. Okay. This looks cool as fuck. I don't think I've ever seen this guy before. I'm out of water. Damn it. Grab some in a second. Yeah, his drumhead selection is like super dead, and he's using HHX too. That's kind of interesting. I mean, they're not bad cymbals, but they're not like the best of the Sabian line. That's kind of dope. Did you see that? They have that big ass TV back there. Like, look at that. Like, you can watch yourself. I mean, I feel like actually, you know what? Maybe. I mean, maybe that's cool. I feel like that would kind of screw me up though. I don't know. Maybe. Let's watch this if we can find some old ones. I haven't watched this one in so long. This one is like an old school. Oh wait, why is it so bad? Oh, he did one 2 months ago? Nuh-uh. Oh, an updated one. This is sick. This was like the video, well, not the video. This is like the song he got famous for doing but he did it at Modern Drummer Festival. I'm gonna say it was like 2007, maybe 2008. This is like when the whole like gospel craze like started getting really popular. Probably gonna get flagged for this, but whatever. So it happens when you're a partial music channel. Very like pocket right now. The little stack's pretty sick. Funny thing is, there's like a lot more like electronic drum parts in there, so it makes it seem like he's doing more than what he is. Okay. Oh, that's cool. The slam threes. Still like super pocket. Like he's keeping that pocket groove going. Well, that's cool. God, that little like stack. That little stack is like right here. So sick. Same with that. Like adds like a cool sizzle. Curious to see a solo. I mean, it was like at least 10 years ago. I love that. I love those bludgedas that come like right off the ride cymbal. I used to love, like, those are, they just feel so cool to play. Hell yeah. Dude, that was like, it's cool that he just did like a I guess like a remix to that song, because that was the one that he got famous for. Let's take a look, see. Oh wait. Oh, so it was 2006. Okay, so this was it. Oh fuck. Well, let's see if we can't watch this. It's not gonna be the greatest quality. Look how young he looks. Holy crap. That right side hi-hat. Oh, this one's actually kind of better. Ooh, that old Zildjian ZHT effects. That symbol is like one of my favorites. And it's like a cheap symbol, or a cheaper symbol. It's just funny how like a lot of professionals preferred that sound. Probably wasn't Zildjian's intended idea. Oh, that's nasty. I wonder if he has that China stacked to something, because it's like, it's a really short sounding damn. It's so funny, like, watching a lot of those old videos.
Right here and see this lady will come out and count for what? Playing any games. Okay, so I'm gonna start off at 4-4, right? So, of course, 4-4 is the most basic time signature you can play in. And how many people know? How do you know if you're like directly on the time? If you're with the click, how would you know? That's perfect. Now, there are some drummers who get so good at that they don't know anything else but to play directly on time. As soon as they like go in front of the beat a little bit or go behind the beat, they feel like they're like extremely rushing or dragging, whatever the case may be. And sometimes that's what the music requires. It's for you to be a little bit more loose with your playing and in front of the beat, if it's funk or Latin, what have you. So the great thing is to start off playing directly with the click. Develop a good end metronome. Then you begin to play with your time, playing ahead of the beat, behind the beat, like you said, and just flipping it all different type of ways, and still trying to keep the time. Like I said, she's not going anywhere. So if you ever get lost, just stop, and then you start all over again. And then I'm gonna switch the time signature to like 13, 16, or something like that, and let's see what happens. If I get lost, don't laugh, okay? We're all here together, okay? Okay, I'm gonna try my best, but it's just a way to show how you can push yourself to get better. Cool? All right, that's what's up.
Using nylon? I love like breaking up the beats on that stuff. Those blast beat hands. My left hand. That was cool. He ended that cowbell. Okay, I am going to grab some water real quick. So, I believe
very simple, and that's when we really become creative. Always brings was extremely helpful because limitation always brings challenges. You know, if we don't have everything on our disposal, but we have to deal with something very, very simple, and that's when we really become creative. That's kind of like that muscle that we train to become innovative, I would say. Now, let's say if we make the acquisition of something like a paradiddle, which I believe everybody in here knows what I'm talking about. Once we address this structure of a paradiddle, it's like, what is a paradiddle? What is a paradiddle? Okay, that's a lot of opinions at the same time. So what I believe is a paradiddle is it's a rudiment, it's a shape, it's an exercise, you know, like whatever you perceive a paradiddle to be, and when you practice that paradiddle, okay, so technically you have the grip, you hold the stick a certain way, There's a certain heights that you respect, you know, that makes it easier conceptually. You go like, okay, I'm gonna lift the stick up like that. You know, you have a concept about how to execute it. You're gonna get to a certain, level where you're gonna be able to execute the structure. Now, where's the emotional component in acquiring that, in that acquisition of like practicing this structure? This is going to be extremely informative. Whatever you do with a paradiddle is going to be expressed in how you acquired it. Let's say, for instance, you know, if you have a seed of an apple tree and you're going to plant that, it's not an apple tree, this is a seed. You're going to plant that, an apple tree is going to grow out of it. Or, you know, so like the seed of what it is the emotionality. So for me, I choose to think about a paradiddle as a melody, because I believe music is a statistical affair, but it's made out of melody. So for me, a paradiddle has always been a melody and not a sticking pattern. It's always been a simple melody. So if I take this structure, I'm saying, okay, now how can I create a musical narrative with this structure? By playing just this. Right, left, right, left, left. Okay. Now, you know, there's different ways how I can establish a musical narrative, you know, which is usually tension and release that is accomplished by contrasts. Which contrast is, you know, like the basic color scheme of the red, blue, and yellow. Musically applied to music is dynamics. So with dynamics, I can accomplish tension or tempo. Okay, I can create tension. Timbre. Pitch. And then if I put pitch into a motive, I have melody. Simple melody, but nevertheless a melody. So all these things, and you know, there's more that help us to establish musical narrative. It's helpful to understand what it's made out of. You know, so you have certain motifs that you can create by pitch, by timbre, by accents. You know, for instance, you take any groove or drum pattern. Something like that, you know. I mean, I like that pattern because it has a little bit of like different subdivisions and like a little different, it's different components. So you do that, and you do like as a mixing console, you know, you start to elevate certain instruments. Hi-hat. Now, eventually you can get into like the detail of it with like the phrasing, okay? So all those inner beats become musical entities and not just a mechanical texture, you know, which is kind of like this is dependent from like that. So what I learned by doing things like this, I really started to be able to, you know, uncouple my inner hearing from what I was playing physically. So my inner hearing really started to like evolve, and at some point, anything that you do, you have to be able to like hear it first.
Hey, Rhythmic.
And if you have a
I'm not even sure if you're still here or not,
drummers
but
that come to me that want to increase the speed, I go like, well, you know, I can really play a single stroke roll on a pad or a snare, like.
Jojo Mayer is absolutely
I can
amazing.
play fast, which is their hands are able to play fast, but they don't hear really the musical notations that they want to do.
That's like such a good point. I remember like when I was in college, and when you start getting like the higher level stuff, like especially when you're playing like jazz or like fusion, it's really crazy because you kind of start getting to this really weird point where as long as like you know the rhythm somewhat, like you kind of eyeball the rhythm, but you're just like looking for the accents. What he's getting at is like a really good point because a lot of people tend to like skip that next step of actually understanding what it is that you're supposed to be, or like what it is you're actually playing. A lot of people just go on autopilot, and like that can actually to some degree get you relatively far. Like there's tons of there's a lot of them in like gospel and stuff where there's like tons of cats who just like have like insane like gospel chops, you know what I mean? But they kind of just go on autopilot a lot of time. Not like everyone, I'm not saying that, not generalizing per se, but I've just known a lot to come from that space.
So the problem is not a technical one, but it's a conceptual one. So
yeah,
those simple
it's really sick
devices or simple meditations that as I would rather call it like exercises, because I don't like to exercise. I think exercising is for athletes. You know, I practice or have been somehow like really opening up the way I behave behind my kit and the types of decisions that I make. Now, let me give you another example. You know, something.
Dude,
okay, let's say.
So not sure if you'd be interested in it or not. I've actually thought about teaching like some rhythmic theory stuff on here. I have like a separate channel that I want to start building out, like a YouTube channel. Well, I've already kind of like experimented by putting up like lesson videos, but I'm really like one of these days, because I use there's like a free software called MuseScore where you can like notate stuff. I thought about just kind of doing like a free like rhythmic theory class, but I don't know. I'm not sure if that would be something people would be like super interested in, but I don't know. I think it's cool.
You know, we have a pattern kind of like that involves all our limbs, kind of like a triplet pattern, you know, something that like probably most drummers know how to play. Like foot, right, left. Of course, there's many hybrids. You know, we can use the sticking and so on. But let's just stick with one, the most simple one, which is. Okay, now we can distribute that over the kit and orchestrate it and so on. But let's stick with a pattern.
Oh yeah,
I'll
if you're really interested in something like that, I'd be down to plan something like that. Probably it'd have to be either later this week or like next week, but it wouldn't be too hard just to grab my webcam and I have a separate attachment for like a separate
I'm gonna
camera.
do the same thing as I did before.
Yeah, so I've got a separate attachment for a separate camera, and all I have to do is just get like a drum pad, and we could go over that. Like I could switch between my screens of the camera view versus like my computer view. I guess maybe I should be able to split it in OBS Streamlabs. I think I'd have to plan it out so like it doesn't look wonky, but yeah, technically that should work. But you're giving me something to think about for sure. Who knows? Maybe we'll do like if you want to do like a rhythmic theory lesson, maybe we could do that. That'd be kind of cool.
I'm gonna articulate or elevate every instrument individually.
I will say I don't care what level of drumming you're at. If you don't practice on a pad, like it's so easy to fall behind. I mean, hand technique is just it is what it is. Like it's one of the biggest. I will say, on a side note, if you can find one, I recommend finding one for super cheap. Oh, dude, thanks. I really appreciate that. I recommend finding one for like super cheap. Finding like a bass drum pad, like a foot pad, and if you can get just like literally just a bass drum foot pad and then like a regular practice pad and like drum with them, you can do a bunch of the you can do like a bunch of like basic snare drum stuff on your feet, and you can kind of learn how to like actually do rudiments on your feet, and it's like it's a night and day thing. So I think who was it, Thomas Lang, maybe we'll pull up a video in a second, but Thomas Lang actually used to talk about this like a lot. I have a couple of his books and I haven't broke them out in a while, but he actually put together like in his book or both of his books, I forgot what the name of them, but both of his books he put together these like set of techniques that kind of skip the process. So a lot of times what people used to do is they would go one exercise at a time, yada yada yada, but that's not really efficient because you end up kind of forgetting certain things. So there are certain like practice techniques that kind of cover multiple areas, almost like leveling up multiple skills at once, if you must. You know what I mean? So maybe we'll see if we can find it here in a second. I do want to finish this Jojo Mayer one though because he's absolutely brilliant. And just for clarity's sake. Oh, dude, no worries. There's so many cool like snare drum things you can do. Um, yeah, I wouldn't even. In fact, you know it's really cool. Sometimes I have fun just doing it, where like I'll just do hand stuff and see what I can do on the kit, because you never know when something is gonna break. And I cannot tell you how many times I've like played a gig or something, and maybe, especially in college, because like colleges don't colleges don't always have colleges don't always have the greatest gear, and that stuff breaks quite a bit. Like even like decent state colleges sometimes have like really shit gear. Um, yeah, no worries. We can totally. There's plenty of really cool hand techniques. I used to do like drumline stuff like crazy, and that kind of actually got me into doing like other things. So there's like tons of Latin percut, like all Latin stuff you see on drum set. Like drum set is basically what people used in Latin music if you didn't have multiple people to play like congas and bongos, um, just like literally everything, timbales, cowbell. So, anyways, not before I start nerding out too much more, let's kind of go back to what he was covering.
Visually.
So what he's showing here is just like how you can do the same thing, but like have so much variant with the same exact like motion.
It's very simple.
Just by
but
phrasing.
Also, already you start to see like certain shapes come out of that. Now let's say once you're able to execute, that independently, try to put more musical narrative into it.
Yeah, Jojo Mayer is literally known as being one of the best in the world. He has crazy hand technique.
Okay. Once you feel comfortable with that,
So it's crazy. Just by switching the accents, you have like
I use
completely
the same
different phrasings
structure,
doing the
use
exact same
structure.
thing.
You can use it over you can use it groupings of 3, for instance, over 16 notes, right? So you have same pattern. Okay, it's just now goes over the bar line.
Yeah, so now he's showing like the variances you have when you just like incorporate it in like a different time signature. It's really cool. Almost sounds like he's playing different things, but he's really just playing the exact same rhythm over and over.
So you see now we have more music already with like the same pattern, because my hearing allows to access that statistical shape and actually, you know, articulate more music with it. You know,
English is not his first language.
If I use the same pattern, let's say, and I mean the same sticking, same shape, but I leave the pattern that I lock myself in for, you do this for like, 2 hours, you start to hallucinate. So like, then like the African element really unfolds, it comes in. And I think it's important to have experienced that when we play this instrument. Then the things becomes like, okay, well, I'm not actually.
Hopefully last pause point for a minute, but what he just said there is a so real and valid point. I can't tell you how many times, especially, like I said, I just go back to like in college, because that's really like when you're practicing like insane amounts of hours per day. And for me, like high school, I used to practice an insane amount too. When I was planning on that being my main thing. There's like this rhythm you get into that like eventually, like after you played it so many times, like once you've gone past like the mastered phase, like you probably mastered it in one night because you played it so many times. You get into like this weird like flow state, and it's almost like meditating. It legitimately is. Like you do get into this weird like just zen, like he says hallucinating, and it kind of in a sense is, because you kind of just lose like your feeling of like being there. It's like, it's crazy. So weird, but so cool.
Actually, I'm not playing. I don't think I'm still playing. What's going on? So, at that point, let's say I use the same structure. Make the tempo up a little bit.
We all could. Yeah, the best drummers understand that like percussion plays a role in drumming. Dude, bass is cool too.
So,
Funny enough, I remember like, so I taught myself how to play like acoustic guitar because I got one for free. I remember like the first couple days just being like, when you're trying to like grip the strings, and you're like, I know I'm like hitting this, like I know I'm pressing this note, but every time I strum, it just sounds like crap. I was like, how does anybody play this thing?
there's not really, you know, of course, you know, I can use like odd groupings, but like the basic structure is the same, and it sounds way more complicated or way more complex than it actually is. So with this simple pattern, I can, you know, create way more music than I would usually do, you know, if I would approach it like, okay, well, I got that one, and I got. We can do that, you know, and if we only exploit it to this degree, we're gonna lose something, because we're gonna go, okay, well, now I gotta start to, you know, do all the hybrid stuff. You know. Well, of course we can do that, but I think like staying with one pattern and really milk it for its potential, I think is a very good idea. And I think then when you're going to start playing things like that, it's going to sound like you, because you've been doing that meditation and you went through that, zone of locking yourself out of unlimited possibilities, and stay inside where those three zones start to communicate with each other.
So if you like that, let me see if I can find it. Like I said, if all you can do is hands, this is going to be really cool for you then. Who the fuck was it? It was Thomas Lang. That's who it was. Thomas Lang. Drum book. Let's put drum book. Yeah, let's just try it. I've been playing guitar for years, but my guitar died. With all this extra time, I've decided to break out dancehall bass. Yeah. Well, I mean, honestly though, if you do like any little bit of like drumming or percussion at all, right? I mean, you already know to keep time. Let's go to his teaching section, because that's going to be like the best part of it.
I mean, I was saying to the guys in the control room before this, I'm like, I'm going in to do a lesson with Thomas Lang. Can you actually believe that?
I said the same thing.
So, for those of you who don't know Thomas Lang, I'm just going to give you a short introduction. I hope that's all right.
Of course.
You have a little piece of thread right here on your cheek.
Thank you.
So, Thomas Lang, he's been on the cover of pretty much every popular drumming magazine. You've won pretty much most of the awards that come from a lot of the modern drummers readers poll, as far as like clinician and many other categories. And we were talking before, you only spend around 20% of your time doing clinics and tours, and the rest of the time is playing music and touring with a bunch of different artists.
Absolutely,
Right? One thing
A good bass player
is
could
it's
help
always
make a
the 4th
band,
of July
especially
weekend
linking
is
with the drums.
Big drum bonanza.
Indeed.
And
Indeed. Yes.
Now, can I get a shirt exactly like that?
.com.
Yeah, and you have like a play-along contest and stuff from that. And so you guys can go check out the website and Drumming Boot Camp. I know I would love to host one here in our new facility.
It'd be great.
Kind of stuff. And more about all this kind of stuff.
New album.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And then you back every single day.
I'd be happy.
All right,
in a very simple methodical form, we're going to start with single strokes. So 1 stroke per hand, right, left, right, left, right. Then double strokes, 2 per hand. Then groups of 3. Right, left, right, left, right, left, or right, right, left, 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 right, etc. Groups of 4, and so on. So we're doing single stroke rolls, double stroke rolls, 3 stroke rolls, 4 stroke rolls, 5, and so on. So You guys know the single stroke roll. It's rudiment number 1 in every drum book. Right, left, right, left, right, left. And you play just simple. You can then, and that's what I want to encourage you to do, is take each one of those rudiments immediately and start working creatively with them. Don't just play them on the snare drum or consider them to be snare
They can also
pad
break a
exercise,
band.
just a rudimental sticking
Dude,
exercise. Each one
I've
of
been in
those,
that scenario.
phrases and patterns is a musical phrase and term that you can play in many different ways in the drum set. Single strokes, you can just orchestrate them. 8 strokes per drum. Or split them up, play groups of 3, alternating singles. 1, 2, 3 on the floor tom, 1, 2, 3 on the snare drum. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right.
Dude,
left,
that floor
right, left.
tom sounds so deep. He has like the perfect sounding kit.
Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Floor, snare, rack tom, 10-inch tom. Great fills.
The gig life, man. That happens.
It's a triplet pattern that you can play in many different ways.
Okay, so for you guys know, Thomas has a lot of stuff that he's going to cover, so you're going to go.
Yes,
really
I'm going to go fast, guys.
And if you need to watch this, don't worry, you're going to get to watch it again and on repeat.
So I'm going to just try and pack as much information in here as possible, okay? I hope you guys are ready.
You're going to package like 10 years worth of lessons.
Yeah, it's very simple. 3, 3. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. But you can do many things with single strokes. Just try them out. Orchestrate them on the kit. For example, play triplets. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, right, left, right, left, right, left, and put the quarter note accents on the rack tom. Take those subdivisions and switch from snare drum to floor tom, like so. Shorten the sequence and switch every half bar. Here.
What he's showing is something that's like a really good point. So a lot of people think that I'm not sure if you're familiar with drummers like Luke Holland and stuff. They're all like really good drummers, right? But most drummers, it's funny, most drummers end up practicing, other than like Matt Garska or someone like that. Most drummers end up practicing things that are way harder than what they can really play live. Matt Garska is just like known to like fuck up constantly because he just like tries. He's like the Tony Hawk of like drumming. He'll just keep trying tricks that he knows he can't do until he eventually does it, right? But stuff like that sounds like it's so much more complicated than it really is. It just comes down to really knowing the fundamentals and basics, and then like taking those fundamentals to the next level, right? And then just putting them in a set of phrasings that fits really well. That's really all it is. That's a point that like I feel like not enough people touch on, but obviously he's one of the gods, so of course he's going to. Yeah, no, but that's the thing. A lot of people learn that stuff, including me. Like I never had like a drum set lesson per se. I've had like snare lessons later in life, but drum set, it's just pretty much been myself, and then watching a ton of videos and going to clinics and stuff like that. And plus, like I got really, really lucky. When I was like 16, my first like official job other than like mowing lawns was working at a Sam Ash music store. So I got to meet a lot of like really good drummers and then kind of pick their brains. But that's, like I said, this point in particular, like me, like I would listen to things by ear, but I would never think to myself, oh, I should just practice that movement over and over. But that's really what you should do. Just because you can play it once, or maybe you can play it multiple times, maybe you can play it perfect every single time you play that song, doesn't mean that you actually you don't have that motion as like a secondary, as like a thoughtless motion. You would always have to think, most likely, you would always have to think about it. "20-second lag?" Well, hopefully that gets better. Let's see if we can continue this video.
Put the accent on the crash symbol.
Yeah. So that's like a perfect one. A lot of old school drummers used to do this technique, and people would think that they were just like going absolutely like crazy, but it's just like a basic triplet pattern, with an accent on the bass drum and on the crash cymbal. He's doing like a really good job of just like getting to the point. Like I said, he's really really good. His specialty is like basically cutting out all the bullshit when it comes to teaching. I love Thomas Lang for that reason.
It's just single strokes.
It's just simple. It's simple.
It's simple. It's very simple. It's just.
Now, the question we're going to get, and this is the same question we'll probably get throughout all of these, is how do you develop that? How do you get to that level? Like, obviously, this is something you just didn't start practicing yesterday. This is something you've been doing for a long
Right,
time.
yes. Key is, the faster you play, the more relaxed you are. If you have a long distance to cover, like from floor tom to crash cymbal, bring your body forward into the middle of the two targets, so you have the reach basically, or you double your reach and half the distance. So don't lean back when you big cross-sticking patterns. Make sure you sit straight, bring your upper body close to the action, basically, and stay relaxed. And of course, you start with a lot of very basic hand practice. I'm sure you've seen hundreds of lessons on finger control technique.
Just to touch on that one part that he just said, I can't stress that enough. That's one thing that, so if you're going to only be doing like hand technique stuff, it doesn't mean that all you have to do is snare drum stuff. You could hit on like different things, but understanding how to close the gap in distance, because it's going to make you more relaxed, right? Sometimes it's cool, like there's something to be said about someone who can just muscle through, right, and like get from point A to point B, especially over long distances. But realistically, it's just not efficient, right? And what ends up happening is you might actually hit your intended target, but the sound that you're trying to produce, like the quality of the hit, actually degrades, because what ends up happening, especially when you go over those longer distances, you're muscling it more. So the hit's either not going to be 100% perfect because you weren't relaxed to like dial it in, or you're going to have too much force and it's not going to like sound the same. So just something to think about. These are kind of like the next level of those single stroke kind of ideas. But yeah, no, metal, they have to do that a lot. It's all about relaxing, right? Because other than people that like just trigger everything, if you just want to play like a natural kit, you do have to be relaxed, and all the hits have to sound like pretty even, especially if you're going to do blast beats. Excuse me.
Without wrists, I, however, use mainly wrist strokes, which is hardly any fingers at all. It's our wrist. Because with wrist strokes, you can actually move stuff around the kit very easily, and you always have a very tight grip. Make sure you have the correct hand position, which is always palm down. Imagine you're playing the drum set without sticks in your hand, and you would be playing palm down. You would never be playing with your thumbs facing up or the palms facing each other, so you would never karate chop the drum set. That would hurt. So that's the same way you hold the stick. Relax your arm, bring it up, put the stick in your hand. There it is. The the palm always faces down. If you're playing in this position, and if you make sure that the stick's at a right angle, like so, and imagine the snare as the face of a clock.
Can I just say something real quick? I cannot imagine that his
It's always funny.
that metal wristband feels good. It looks like it fucking hurts. I'm not sure if he broke his wrist or something and he needs it there, but that does not look comfortable.
To 4, hour and minute hand. And this position gets moved all over the drums. Basically, you're just transferring this position. This is a very powerful stroke. You have a very firm grip, and it's very easy to switch surfaces and play with a lot of power.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, let's go on to double stroke.
Yes. Now, of course, singles, the same goes for the feet. So when I just wanted to add this, if you play singles on top of the kit, also play those singles with the feet. Same thing. Here's a
This goes back to This literally goes back to what I was saying earlier. Obviously, do what you can do, but again, a lot of people don't think about this.
good example for something that I call note rate pyramid. For control, I want you guys to practice 16th notes, 8th-note triplets, 16th-note triplets, quintuplets, septuplets, all these phrases. Play a basic beat and work those phrases in with the feet, for example. It would sound like this.
So just in case you guys weren't catching it there, basically what he's doing, he's going in ascending order and he's going in a descending order. So he's starting with singles. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 8th notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and triplets, 1 olit, 2 olit, 3 olit, 4 olit, 16 notes, 1 eana, 2 eana, 3 eana, 4 eana. And then a lot of people skip this part. He goes and does the fives. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. The triplets, the 16 note triplets, I should say. You know, triplet, 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 1 olit, 2 olit, 3 olit, 4, you know. And then he goes into sevens before he does the really fast 30-second note triplets, or 30-second note 16th notes, or 30-second note fours is what I should say. So it's basically a pattern of 8. And then he descends and goes backwards.
And mix it up and play 2, 2, 3, 3, 5, 5, 8, for example. So. These are just for control, okay?
So, to kind of give a little bit more context into that, so if you're thinking about it in like a phrasing sense, like if you're actually playing music to like a song or something, it wouldn't just be like random footnotes, right? It'd be like dun 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 dun. You know what I mean? If I was to add like some kind of like actual like musical phrasing to it.
I've done that. Usually it's with my hands. People kind of leave out the feet when it comes to doing
Yes, but the thing is, you can use the feet as well, so it's worth exploring. There's a lot of creative potential and a lot of modern drum set playing happens below the belt. So try to explore that and have fun with it, okay?
That's great.
There's basically nothing you can't do with your feet that you can do with your hands, potentially. So anything you can play with hands, you can play with your feet. Now, doubles, sorry, I just wanted to cover that. Double strokes, I learned doubles to play doubles this way. It's called the Stone Killer number 2 in Joe Morella's book. Soft, right, right, left, left. Speed that up until we get a very nice even roll. Don't accent the second note. Don't do that the first note becomes louder due to the hand movement, and it sounds like this. Kind of a weird bounce. You don't.
So that's not like, this is the only part where I'll kind of like disagree with him on. I agree with using like the Joe Morello method, especially when you're like on toms and stuff like that, right? But realistically, let me see if I can. I don't know if you guys can hear this, so hopefully you can hear this. But basically, right, I got a pair of sticks right here. But sometimes doing like just the straight like downstroke and having the second note be a little bit weaker has like its purpose too. So it's really good if you're wanting to do something that is like a little bit more laid back, or maybe even like ahead of the beat. You know, you can hear that like the second note, like it's not 100% even. But again, especially like if you're doing like something like a little bit jazzier or even like Latin style stuff, like Latin stuff, like it's basically built upon having like like different layers of ghost notes and like accents and stuff like that. So just keep that in mind.
One that you want to very and match grip, and I try to put those on the toms.
I will say on the toms though, like in particular this method, if you just try to like rely on the bounce, you're probably going to be in for a bad time unless your toms are like super tight.
Play patterns like triplet patterns and then diddle them like this. 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet. Just spread, you know, the doubles all over the kit, and then do the same thing with the feet. Play soft. Soft note is always on the beat, so 1. Double stroke roll.
Yeah, he's actually probably he's probably the best when it comes to doing double stroke like foot pattern stuff. I don't think I've ever heard another drummer actually do it as well as he does. His sound quality is just top tier.
Played as 32nd notes, as 16 notes. 60-note triplets, so 1, 2, 3. Same with the feet. 1, 2, 3, 4. So practice it in different phrasings, different patterns, but these are basically double strokes. You can play them on 2 different instruments.
That thing right there is super cool. I want to point that out. I don't even know what that is. It's just like a piece of like metal. I don't know what he's got it like connected to. It's like ghetto rigged to something. And I think he's just using like the back of his mallet to give it like a solid smack, you know? Pretty cool.
And create interesting pattern that way. But this is just to illustrate that a double stroke isn't just a pad exercise. It is a pattern you can use, and you will use in grooves, for example. If you check out my hands now. 3, 4. These are all double stroke rolls, and we use them all the time on the kit.
Yeah, cool. And now, you said with singles you're using mainly wrist strokes. Is that the same thing with doubles? Because I see it changing.
Well, it depends on which surface I'm playing it. If I'm playing it on slack kind of floor toms, it's all wrist stroke. Because there's no rebound. If I play it on at a low volume and on a high tension drum like a snare drum, now match grip, it would be a lot more fingers. I try to avoid fingers on the kit and try to play everything using wrist strokes.
Now again, Take that roll thing with like a grain of salt, because when you even like, if you look at guys like Benny Grubb, which I don't know if you guys follow Benny Grubb, but he just got in like a really bad accident on the Autobahn. But thank God he's okay. The world would have lost another god. I don't know if my heart could have handled that one. But like Benny Grubb does like a lot of. I mean, these guys are both European. I don't remember exactly which country these Thomas Lang is from. I want to say Benny Grubb is from Germany. They do all have like different like style hand techniques, and Benny Grubb definitely has more of like a jazzier like ish style, even though he does like rock and stuff like that. Thomas Lang, like you'll notice in his playing, his stuff, his style is very like powerhouse. He's got groove, he's got all that like, but just like every hit he has, like there's a technique in drumline where you learn to every stroke you should be like playing through the drum. That's the best way I can describe like every single one of his hits. Now that you have that visual, watch what he like every single stroke that he does, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
So the next pattern would be, we've done singles and doubles, now we'll do groups of three. The three-stroke roll, the sticking is right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. It's called an open rough, or a three-stroke roll. Right, left, right, left, right, left.
Again, taking basic concepts, speeding them up, adding a little bit of flavor tonally, and it sounds like you're doing something insanely crazy.
And of course you can do the same thing with the feet. Same pattern, same concept, same technique, same rudiment, played with both hands and feet.
The challenge with that one, I know for me, is going from the right lead to quickly going into the left lead.
Well, like I said, maybe we can work on that.
Absolutely. And in this case, if you look at the...
I do have a Zoom meeting, or I don't know if you've got like a webcam or something. Like, what is it? Well, Discord also has something like that now. Like I said, I would be down to like do a lesson or something. I feel like that'd be kind of cool. Maybe, depending on the latency, maybe we could make something like that work. Whatever. Either way, like I probably will end up covering some of this stuff. There's a couple books that I have been wanting to kind of get on film and go through, since I noticed that nobody's really covering them anymore, and they're very, very fundamental to a lot of young drummers. It's stuff that like I learned, and I'm really, really surprised that schools aren't covering them anymore. So I'm not sure if that just has something to do with like the decline of music programs across the United States, or if there's some other factor there that I'm unaware of. But yeah, anyways, keep that in mind.
Three-stroke roll. Imagine you're playing an inverted double and add a stroke in the middle. So the inverted double sounds like this. 3, 4. Roll. So you're bouncing from right to left. Do do dee dee do do dee dee. In the three-stroke roll, you just add a hand in the middle. So like this. 3.
So if you're not following what he's doing there, he's basically, in this instance, what he's talking about is he's hitting, like, let's say you're right hand dominant, right? It's do 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 do. So basically, even though he just got through saying, and this kind of goes back to what I was saying before, even though he just got through saying don't have like a specific accent, you're your rolls should sound even, technically speaking, he's shifting the accent, right? So instead of do 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 do, it's do 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 do. You know what I'm saying? Now he's using it on different toms, so I guess technically, even if you play it evenly, it'll sound a little different. But that's basically what he's doing.
Inverted double. That way, for me, it's easier to lead with the left hand and bounce from right to left. Same with the feet. I'm thinking inverted double and add a note in the middle.
It's like a little drum hack.
It's a drum hack. There's your magic moment shortcut. Boom! There it is.
People love shortcuts.
Yes. And but the three-stroke roll you can also play not as an open rough.
Not really
but
sure
as
what
a
you mean.
close drag, using a double and a single, as in right, right, left, or left, left, right. Is it open? Closed. Okay, same goes for the feet. You can play one, so, right rough, left rough. Left rough, of course, the right foot plays the eighth note. The left foot plays the rough. And so on. So, again, same pattern, played with both hands and feet and on the whole kit.
That's cool. Now, did you go through each of these patterns like you're explaining them now? Did you say one day I'm just going to work on the single strokes and that's what you kind of focused on for a specific amount of time and then moved to double strokes, or is it kind of you practiced a bunch of them all at the same time?
I focused always on three things.
Yeah.
If you're not sure about how to divide your practice time, choose three things that you are terrible at, and choose your biggest weakness, the second and the third biggest weakness. Choose a weakness in relation to your goals, and then find out what you're terrible at, and try to eliminate the biggest weakness. Now if that's single strokes, choose single strokes. And then the second biggest and the third biggest. If you work your way down a list of weaknesses, you end up eliminating all weaknesses and end up with strength at the end of, a couple of years of practicing.
That's cool.
Many years.
We were talking at lunch, and I really think you have so many cool insights on just practicing, developing practice routines. I'd love to get you back and do a whole lesson on
Sure,
that. Even if
absolutely.
it's more behind the desk, or how we structure and how we actually spend our
Absolutely,
time. It'd be
yeah.
really, really cool. Okay, four-stroke rolls.
Yes, four-stroke rolls. Now, it can be played in two ways, as either using singles or doubles. Using singles, it's right, left, right, left, left, right, left, right.
Notice he's using the triplet phrasing there, so just keep that in mind.
Right, left, right, left, left. I like to add maybe a bass drum at the end of this phrase and go.
Yeah, so just like I said, keep in mind, you can always do those outside of a triplet format. Right there, he's going one ul it, so one ul it, two ul it, three ul it, four ul it. You know what I mean? You can always go like a basic 16th note phrasing. So da 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 da. You know.
You can play the four-stroke roll, always starting with the right hand. Right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left. But when I play from the low side to the kit to the left, I lead with the left. So I go right, left from left to right. And left, right from right to left. So, but you can also play the four-stroke roll using doubles. Or four-stroke roll. course, you can do this with the feet. Or right. With an accent on the second. Okay, so. Or. So always bouncing both ways.
Yeah, that's just crazy.
He has like an
how
incredible
you
like.
can switch back and forth.
He has an
That
incredibly
doesn't
like
sound any
strong
different
foot
than
technique.
the lead way, in my
Just like with the hands.
Definitely
That's
one of the
goal.
best
The goal is to be able
in
to
the
play.
game.
Each one sounds exactly the same way, because we want to condition ourselves to be able to play to the right side of the kit using a right lead sticking and vice versa. So, or both sides have to be equally strong. If they're not equally strong, you're really only exploring 50% of your playing potential,
Yeah.
and you're always very weak at 50% of your playing potential. So it's really worth always exploring the left side. And same goes for hands and feet. If you play 4-stroke rolls with the hands, you should also go. So why not do both?
yeah, why not? 5-stroke roll.
Here comes the 5-stroke
That was kind of gross.
roll, guys. Guess how many strokes in that? 5. Exactly. You can play 2 ways using singles. Right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. You can do the same thing with the feet. But you can also apply that on the kit and, for example, play. It's a cool little fill.
Damn. So okay, one of these days, while we do this, I'm gonna have to break out. I'll have to. I haven't used it in a long time, so I don't have all the macro keys ready and placed for it. But I'll have MuseScore ready so that way I can notate some of the stuff out. Because I didn't realize the way he's like describing some of this, like he's not wrong. It's not inaccurate at all. But he's leaving like extra. He's phrasing it a little bit differently. So just keep that in mind. Still really cool stuff though. I absolutely love Thomas Lang. He's such a good teacher.
It's just a basic 5-stroke roll. And you can also use it or play it closed using doubles. Right, right, left. Left, left, right, right. And same goes, of course, for the feet. And you can practice all these patterns in unison. Maybe hands and feet together. Soft hands.
That's so hard to do too. Getting that foot technique to be like
Save
soft.
a lot of time that way.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of drummers are just practicing hands, you know. Then feet. Why not at the same time? You know? And of course, as doubles, you can use it on the kit, crashing on the quarter note. All 5-stroke rolls.
Yeah. And as far as the note value you're choosing to orchestrate it in, how conscious of that are you when you're playing these?
Very conscious.
Yeah.
Because I play them sometimes as 30-second notes, like this. So using 4 30-second notes, 2 and 1/8 note. Sometimes I play them as 60-note triplets, not playing the second 60-note triplet. So
And just keep that in mind too. So remember when Jojo Mayer was talking about that in that previous video, Making sure that like mentally you're at that next level of keeping your consciousness aware of what it is exactly that you're playing, and you're not just going on autopilot, because that's what a lot of people do. They'll learn the rudimental techniques, and they get so good that their body just acts for them. But sometimes, and not just sometimes, I guess a lot of times, that can trip you up, especially when you finally start getting to that next level of playing.
I'm always very much aware of the phrasing and how I use them, how I play them, and same goes for the feet, of course. So yeah, be aware of that. And I also like to play them in completely different phrasings and timetables, like, for example, the 5-stroke roll, but in a quarter note pattern layer over a 4/4 bar, for example.
Cool. That's really, really cool. Okay, six stroke.
6-stroke. Guess how many strokes in that? So we can play this again in 2 ways, using 60 notes and 30-second notes.
So there he is, describing the 2 phrasings.
Leading with the right hand or with the left. And I like to put the 2 60 notes on a tom. With kick drums. Or just on one tom. And of course I like to play it with the feet. And when you practice it with the feet, or with the hands, always practice it in all positions. So starting on the 60 note or starting on the 32nd, for example. Starting in both positions.
Yeah.
Do the same with the hands. And then, of course, you can play the 6-stroke roll using doubles. And you can phrase it as 6-note triplets. But here it is first with the feet.
Now keep in mind too, I just want to throw this out there. So when you're practicing some of those techniques, notice that he's like doing like a different off pattern with his right hand. These same types of things apply. If he was just doing like a basic da 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 da, you know, but he's not. He's going da 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 da. So you can always do that, and like you'll actually come up with some really cool patterns.
To also phrase it as 16-note triplets, which makes this almost like a paradiddle. So I'll play. And then you can put the 2 accents and symbols.
Paradiddles are like one of my favorite rudiments too.
Feet,
Adding an accent actually on the so the diddle diddle sounds really cool.
Different sounds.
I don't know what that is.
An interesting pattern, very useful, and we'll revisit that when we manage to get to the paradiddle-diddles.
This is the most like fast-paced and intense, but amazing.
Good.
Amazing lesson ever. It's very cool.
It's value for money, I'm telling you.
Yeah. This is great, man.
Sorry, you guys can't tell me if we're going too fast, but
Well, they can, but we're just gonna have to watch it 10 times each, so it's all good. Okay, so let's keep going. We got 7-stroke roll.
7-stroke roll.
How many strokes is that?
So right, left, right, left, right, left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Same with the footsies.
The
Please
footsies.
make sure you always play dynamically. The bass drum is the largest drum on the drum set. It deserves to be played dynamically as well. So make sure you play nice accents, just like with the hand. Feet. And the 7-stroke roll with the hands, for example, a good application is to play 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So you play 2 notes per drum and end on the floor tom, and then 2 notes per drum starting on the floor tom, playing up the kit, leading with the left hand.
It's funny, so many people only have like 4-piece drum sets now. That a lot of my students
So
I actually haven't taught
very
that
useful,
to.
just like the 5-stroke roll.
In that specific way. But that's a good way to teach
Good
them.
way to get around the kit very quickly.
See, I'm learning here too,
And,
guys.
another example for an applied rudiment.
Nice. Great. Okay, then flams.
Flammage. Alternating flams. Of course, you know what a flam is. You have a full stroke and a pianissimo stroke. So, and then same with the right hand.
Now I challenge you. I challenge all of you who are watching to try to do inverted flams. So basically, normally the full stroke one hits second, right? Make that one hit first. It's actually, if you've practiced flams for a really long time, it's a lot harder to reprogram yourself than you think if you've never done it before. It's kind of like a fun little game.
Practice flams individually first. Just the snare, and then put the accent on a tom.
Or even switch up like the accent. That's fun too.
Choose little patterns like high tom, middle tom. Or floor tom and high tom. And snare drum and middle tom. And then do the same with the feet. So I'm playing left flam, right flam. You know? So I'm playing heel down with the right foot and with the left foot. It happens very quickly. It's very similar to what we played earlier, the rough, you know, where also
That's like, that one right there, that tip he just gave, that's worth like 5 lessons worth. Those are specific techniques that a lot of people either don't know or don't tell you. I forgot that he goes over that in this video, and I didn't even think to say anything about it.
So we use different techniques with each foot or with the hands. Here I use a finger stroke with my right hand, a very soft tap with the right hand, and a loud wrist stroke with the left. Same with the feet. I'll use a full stomp with the left foot, a full stomp, and I use a heel down stroke with the right foot. And we always switch techniques when we play. That's why it's important to practice each technique with the hands, for example, finger control technique. It's just fingers, no wrist. Wrist strokes. Flat stroke, where
Hey Artemis, what's
just
going on?
fingers.
I hope you're enjoying this.
So we use different techniques for different things.
We don't get
Same
to
goes
do
with
this all the
feet.
time, but hopefully we
We
can do it
use-
a little more often.
The whole leg is involved. Loud strokes, then heel down for soft strokes. And then combinations. So we can play dynamically.
Insane
And
foot
flam is a
techniques.
typical example for that. Another applied.
Or,
a little
I'm
bit
sorry,
here.
insane foot control.
Soft stroke, loud stroke. So it's a great feel. So it's a very powerful, quite aggressive kind of stroke.
Yeah. Okay, Swiss triplets.
Swiss tripletage. So there's two ways you can lead with the right hand or with the left hand. Imagine you're playing a shuffle, which is the first and last of a triplet. One triplet.
Ah.
Right hand.
Anybody can be a drummer. I promise you that. You just gotta have a good time, you know?
The first and second triplet.
So never
3,
say never.
4.
But I'm glad you're enjoying it. This is something I'm really passionate about, and I think rhythmic drummers passionate about too. It's the best instrument there is.
You can do the same. You can use that as a fill on the kit, putting one hand on the tom toms.
Yeah, I'm not teaching anyone right now. Let me just clarify this one real quick. I'm normally like a little bit picky with like my students because I don't have like a ton of time. So the students I do teach, typically I would rather them be a little bit more dedicated. Now, however, if I do start doing free drum lessons on this channel, which is something I've very seriously thought about, obviously it's for everybody, and more or less I want to start, because right now I think there's not a ton of resources out there for student, like there used to be. It's so weird. There used to be a ton of resources, and that were very structured, right? But nowadays I feel like I feel like people just aren't teaching them very much anymore. Drumeo is awesome because Drumeo is probably one of the few that does. But specifically for things like hand techniques and stuff, and things that get beginners going, or things that get or that teach, that really structure snare drum hand technique, and that's more or less what, again, like Thomas Lang is saying, that's basically what you translate to your feet. There's just not, I don't see a lot of people diving into that realm anymore. So I kind of, I couldn't even afford drum lessons when I was younger. So I had to teach myself a lot of things, and I had to make do with what I could. And I was, I did. I was lucky enough to be in certain places at the right time. That being said, I know not everybody's always going to have that. So like I said, write it down now. We will be doing that stuff eventually on this channel. I just have to make sure I have the processes all set up to make sure it's a very valuable learning experience. So anyways, back to the lesson.
Or the inversion. You can also split each hand over two different drums. For example, just the right hand on two toms.
So a little more advanced techniques he's showing right here.
can also put the right hand and double it with the bass drums. So, and of course, you can play the same thing with the.
Yeah, that one's a cool one. There's a lot of like really cool little double up techniques you can do on cymbals with your with the bass drum. Those, for anybody watching, if you want to get a little experimental, I highly suggest you experiment with things like that.
Beat.
Yeah, those inverted patterns are crazy.
Or you can play it in 60 notes. And create beats using Swiss triplets. You can play it on 2 instruments.
And again, so remember, I told you before, he's doing those things with his feet. But like, let's go back. Like, where are we at right now? 42, 41. So let's go 42, 36. Listen to what he's doing with his right hand. That dit dit dit, or something like, I don't remember exactly what it was, but you'll hear it. Dit 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 dit. Something like that.
And another bunch of fun applications of simple rudiment, the Swiss triplet.
That's crazy, man. It's crazy all this stuff, and how you can just transfer from the hands to the feet within many different note values. I find that fascinating. You must have just practiced this stuff an insane amount.
I never had any friends as a child. I had no television, no bicycle.
No, was there internet when you were a child?
What's an interwebs? I don't know.
That's probably how you got so good. Is you had no internet to distract.
There was no internet. No.
It does.
There was absolutely no.
Especially, well, there's so remember, it's Swiss triplets. So if you're in a triplet pattern, you're technically you can swing from that. So.
And one more thing I want to discuss with you call mixed stickings.
Yes, so, mixed stickings. Of course, that means combinations of singles and doubles. And the singles and doubles are like a binary code in drumming. It's like ones and zeros in computer programming. You can program anything out of singles and doubles. So the most basic mixed sticking would be 1 single, 1 double. Right, left, left. I used to practice it not like this, but actually put one hand on a hi-hat. The left version. So
This is like a staple technique that he's showing right here.
So, and of course you can do the same thing with the feet. Right.
I want one of those. I don't know what it is that he's hitting. That piece of metal, that scrap metal, but I want one. I want one really bad.
And of course also the inversion, not just.
Now, again, pay attention. So we're going over these techniques, right? Let's internalize them. Notice how when he switches, right? So this is his dominant foot. The one doing the ghost notes is going to be heel down. So it's going to be a softer beat, right? And this right here, the dominant one, remember, he's having heel up. So he's definitely powering it out with the ball. Yeah, I have no clue what that little. I have no clue what that thing is.
Interesting patterns. Another great mix sticking is of course the paradiddle, which is two singles and 1 double. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. And I love the paradiddle because there's so many things you can do with it. With the hands, you can just orchestrate it on the toms, for example.
going back to the original thing, you're taking a basic concept and you're just understanding it and phrasing it a little bit differently, and then increasing the speed.
Or you can play, for example, put a crash on the accents. And then put the ra on a tom-tom. Crash, ra, diddle, crash, ra, snare, snare.
So a lot of people who don't have trained ears, right, would hear that and they would think, oh my gosh, like that's what, like if you just heard that in like a really fast phrasing in a song, you would probably think, oh man, like what is he doing right there? It just sounds so crazy because it's, you know, it's a lot of extra like ambient and harsh sounds. But again, this just goes back to what we have to keep hammering down. Basic techniques, understood to like the full degree, is basically what gets everyone by. At the end of the day, it's just, you're just hitting a drum.
Put the diddle on a tom-tom. Ra, diddle, ra, diddle. Or you can play diddle, crash, crash, diddle, crash, crash, diddle. So. And of course you can play it with the feet. With accents. Stomp. Down, heel down, heel down. Stomp, down. And then play it on different sounds, for example.
That sounds so cool, that little left foot metal thing. That sounds so cool.
So, again, such a cool thing, a paradiddle could also just be a groove.
Rhythmic, we'll have to go over some like tenor technique stuff. I feel like you would love that. Especially if you're wanting to focus on mostly like hand stuff. I actually do have a tenor pad too. I haven't broke that thing out in a long time. I'm not sure my tenor chops are up to par.
I hope that's enough for you guys to practice for the next.
Probably
Wait,
not.
are we? Is it over? Oh, okay. I was about to say.
It always goes on.
When someone watches this video, and they're so, because I know I'm so inspired, so I can't imagine how everyone else feels, but I'm sure they feel very much the same way.
I sure hope so. I hope so.
What do we do? We choose one of those or three weaknesses?
Here,
or?
you know, and the reason why I'm blasting through all of these very quickly, and I'm fully aware of that, is I just want to give you the basic idea. The idea is that you don't look at rudiments like they're some sort of pad exercise and some stale, boring, sterile little sticking pattern that you practice on your snare drum rubber pad and then you go and play music. No, there is nothing you can play on the drums that does not exist in form of rudiment. There is nothing. So whatever you try playing at home, go and play it and play anything you want. Everything you will play, I can break down into some sort of a rudiment. There's nothing you can play on the drums that does not exist as a rudiment. Single strokes, you know, unison strokes, flat
Fucking
flats, you know,
preach
any
it,
kind of
Thomas.
flat thing. Nothing. So it's a good idea to work with rudiments and to apply them on the drum set, because that way it's like the alphabet. If there's many words you don't understand in a story, it's maybe because you're not able to read all the letters. You don't understand the individual syllables that make up the words, that make up the sentences, that make up the story. It's the same with rudiments.
It's actually a really good analogy.
Break it down into small, manageable bites, you know, 3-stroke. And take this idea, right, left, right, left, right, left, and orchestrate it. You know, or in many other ways. You can go so many different ways. and I can play each rudiment in like 7,000 different ways on the kit with all these combinations of sounds and drums. And it's very easy once you know the rudiment.
Yeah.
And you look at all these different variations of it and you go, wow, that's so much stuff. I can never practice that much. It's like, nope. It's one thing that I play in 17 different ways.
Yeah.
So it's a good idea to get down and dirty with the basics. Singles, apply them, use them, orchestrate them. Doubles, use them, you know? Don't be afraid to think outside of the box. And you can take a double and play it on 2 instruments. Steve Gadd. Or play, you know, doubles and two toms, 2 drums. Or and cymbals and snares. It's all the same thing played in different ways.
Awesome.
And that's what I want to get across. There's a lot of stuff, but really there's only 8 things that we did.
Yeah.
Singles, doubles, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So not that much stuff, just many different
He's right.
possible applications.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you very, very much. We're going to get to some playing. You're going to do a little solo in a song.
Okay.
Before you get to that, I just wanted to remind you guys, if you have any questions for Thomas, now's the time to get them in. There's a submit a question box right below this video if you are watching it live. So go ahead and submit your question into there. We will not be able to get to all of them, unfortunately. Just because the amount of people online watching, and it would take, we'd be here, I told Thomas we'd be here literally forever if we decided to start getting through the questions. So get your questions in now, and then right when he's done playing the song, we can get into singles, all right?
Okay, here's a song.
I've been around the block.
Solo,
I don't call myself a pro, but yeah, dude. Like I said, if you're down to do that, then like I said, I would be more than happy. I haven't done it like that before. But I've had some friends of mine do things like that. It's actually really funny to me because I'm not even sure how it would work. But my friend, she's a vocal coach, a friend from college. She posted the other day on, I think it was like Facebook or something, that she just did like her first vocal lesson online. And I was like, I feel like that one's a little bit harder because there's a lot of nuance and sound. So you'd have to have like a good connection. But as long as your camera would be at like the proper angle, for me to see like your hand position and stuff like that, and what you're playing, I can generally hear the sound, you know, that's coming out, because it'll come out in like the same rhythmic pattern unless there's like some weird latency issue. But yeah, I'd be down to do something like that. And it's not like I'm charging or anything. It's free. Just because on these platforms, I want to make sure, I want to try to like give back somehow. That's the whole point of that.
Stuff that I just
Let's
showed
continue.
you, and you will find some of these or all of these ideas somehow wrapped into this little solo. And then I'll play a song from my Humaflex project called Resolution.
Okay, before he goes too much farther into this, let's see if we can't pinpoint and pick out some of the techniques that he just went over. I'll be watching the comments. Rhythmic, if you have recordings, we can definitely do that. Or, I mean, if you just want to play them out. His kid sounds so good. Notice how his feet are doing the heel down, and then whenever he wants to get louder, and accent a bit more, and that's when he does the heel up. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I love electronic music. I used to play drums electronic music all the way back in 2008. Before it was cool. Yo, thanks, Almat. I really appreciate that. I hope you're enjoying this. If you have any questions, please feel free to say something. Look at that left foot go. Now listen to that left foot. It's got like a little bit of a drag. This is what he was talking about being behind the beat a little bit. Now it's like in a swing pattern, because he's getting ready to modulate into like a different groove. Oh, it sounded like he was. Maybe I'm wrong. So, realize he's giving the illusion that his feet are doing like completely separate things, but he was just doing triplets, flam triplets actually, but he was just splitting it between different foot pedals that had different instruments, so it sounded like they were doing independent things. All right, can anyone pick out what time signature this is in? Okay. Shit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, he switched it up. Never mind. It was just giving. It was in 7. I was gonna try to count it out for you. To clarify, 7/8 time. Just for some of you guys that don't know. Now notice something, I'm gonna pinpoint something. Notice how he's being like softer on the drums. One thing you learn from practicing snare drum technique is that because generally you have one sound, right? Like if you were You can move to different, like you can move to the outer edge of the snare drum or the center, and it will sound different. But generally, instead of having different notes, drummers use dynamics as like their note patterns. So when he's doing like different dynamics on the toms and stuff, and then accenting, it does create like a whole new layer. Oh, lost it. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh no, wait, that one's got like an extra one this time. I was gonna say, wait a second, that one sounds a little bit different. Oh, okay, now he went back. Now. Oh yeah, Alma, you're not joking. Thomas Lang is like, I don't know. This isn't even like his full kit. Drummers, man. Drummers don't know when to quit.
That was so good, man. And you got a text there during this song.
Yeah, I got a text there. Sorry.
It's all right. It's live. That's the way it is. You guys.
There you
have to see everything. Okay, you get dried off, and I'll fire a couple questions.
Okay.
This one's from Joey Wojcik.
Yeah, he's
He
a
says, "Hey, Mr. Lang. First
machine.
Of all,
He's a
Joey.
monster.
Great inspiration for me. Do you still have time to practice? And if so, what are you working on right now?"
Well, thank you, Joey. And I don't really have time to practice regularly, unfortunately.
Shit, like think about that. When he says something like that, like I don't have time to practice regularly. Like that takes so much practice to get to that level of just pulling that stuff out perfectly, or for the most part perfectly. Damn.
But I do try to practice occasionally, and I'm working on a lot of conceptual stuff. I'm working on a lot of independence and how to apply more complex independence in a groove-based context. So I'm practicing things, again, applied concepts, applied rudiments. You know, a lot of coordination and independence patterns sound really weird when you play them on, you know, with hands and feet. And I try to work on patterns and try to experiment with things that sound cool and groovy and push drumming forward also on a technical level in a very groove and beat-driven context.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working on.
Cool. This one's from Patty NZ. He says, he had a few questions, but I'm just going to ask one because we have a lot to get through. What is the best advice or guidance you can give to help develop my independence and double bass? I know that's a loaded question, but...
Well, independence, there's a bunch of great books, four-way coordination, Independence
That's what it was. Four-way coordination. That was one of the books I was trying to talk about earlier.
by Dante Agostini, and of course, New Breed, Groove Independence, and a book called Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer by Jim Chapin. Practice those.
All of those.
I also
Great
released
books.
a DVD called Creative Coordination and Advanced Foot Techniques. There's a lot of
Those are the two
independence
books I have
exercises in
too.
that. And
So some of the stuff in that book, his creative coordination books, I've actually gone through some of that stuff, and it's legitimate. Like the way he teaches in that book, the practices that you work through, the practice techniques, I should say, that you work through, they really do translate. Like you're leveling up multiple skills at once. He did a really good job with that book. I can't recommend that one enough.
in order to
Creative coordination.
work on your double bass drum, practice rudiments. The same patterns I just showed you. Any kind of snare drum exercise. Feet. So basically, take your snare drum book and practice it with the feet.
This is from Too Poor to See Forward. Can you give any advice to drummers who would like to pursue drumming professionally, like a studio session drummer, touring drummer, or work for hire?
Any advice?
Yes.
Focus on the essence of what drumming is all about. Great solid time, good feel, and good sound. So all the technical stuff we're discussing here, this is just me from drummer to drummers, because we want to be able to play with more ease. That's why we practice technique. But really the essence of what it's all about is playing time, playing beat. Very simple, basic time exercises, groove, feel. If you're a solid drummer who's confident in his own ability, who has great feel, great sound, really consistent time, and a good feel, then other musicians will want to play with you, and that'll help you slowly stumble up the ladder and have a career in music.
So a little bit of a story time. So studio drumming it's a lot harder to get in that space right now. I know I used to do it. There wasn't as much money coming through, so I kind of put that on the back burner. I do it very rarely now when I get a call for it. But it's what he just said touches on something. You don't actually have to be a crazy or insanely great drummer to do those studio gigs. A little bit of advice. A lot of people don't like when I say this, but to kind of break into that whole studio drumming scene, you do kind of have to do a little bit of free work from the get-go. The reason being for it actually does make a ton of sense. You're going to go in and you're going to take up a bunch of studio time. Running studios is very expensive. It's you have to be very time conscious. And then on top of that, the people, a lot of musicians, let's be real, a lot of musicians don't have like a ton of money unless you're like in the big time. And so a lot of those musicians aren't going to have a ton of hours to just sink in. And so what ends up happening is if you don't do the job right, and the studio hires you, then that's kind of on the studio, right? It's kind of on the studio to like make up those hours that you kind of like sucked. So doing free work kind of helps you like mitigate that like cost-based analysis. Analysis for them to find out whether or not you're worth investing into it being a full-time studio drummer, right? Because even if you're doing it for free, sometimes they can still be a little bit weary just because, you know, they want to put out good products. Every studio, at least every studio that I've worked with, they always want to make sure that everything coming out of there just sounds incredible. Because that's their brand, right? Like the sound that they're producing, the sound that they're exporting is them. That's their main marketing. So what he just touched on, having good time, and like actually like really having good feel is probably one of the biggest ones. Like knowing the style, knowing the genre that you're playing, and being able to pick up on the songs that need to be laid down, because like the schedule for studio drumming is fucking crazy. I know for me it would literally be something like, because I was still working at a restaurant at the time too for like my main gig, especially when I first started doing it. I was still going to school for music. um, it was something like, okay, I got called on a Wednesday and they needed me to record like an entire album, right? That Sunday. And I wasn't going to have, like, I might have one practice session to myself to go through and get that stuff done. Um, you literally have to just do like air drumming and like really hardcore listening. Um, it's an experience, but it's super cool. So, and if anyone out there is looking to do anything like that, just uh, just know that you might have to do a little bit of free work to break in, but it's worth it. It's a fun experience.
Cool. Rodney Crudenpowell says, "Hey Thomas, I was just wondering how many hours a day you would practice when you were younger, as in before you became professional."
As many as possible, as many as I could squeeze in, besides everything else that I have to do. So, a basic guideline: the more you practice per day, the sooner you will reach your goal of being at a high professional level. I'm sure you know the 10,000 hour rule. If not, Google it. It says that very simply, you have to spend at least 10,000 hours in any area of expertise to reach a professional level. So that's about 4 hours for 7
Or
years.
to be a master in something.
So practice for 4 hours for 7 years, and you get a very, very high level of playing.
This one's from Frederick. Says, so for wrist double.
I can show you a couple
doubles,
things.
your downstroke comes from the elbow arm and the upstroke from the wrist. He says, awesome lesson.
Elbow and the arm.
So your downstroke comes from the elbow and arm, and the upstroke.
So what they're talking about right here, rhythmic. I'll show you some stuff before we end this. But what they're talking about right there is Moeller technique. Basically, where your arm acts like a whip, and that's kind of how you end up moving faster. Because when you start speeding up, your whole arm doesn't do this whole like flailing motion, right? You end up just kind of like doing this thing right here with your wrist, and you just end up being able to move your wrist faster. And that's typically like you'll see that a lot of time with like punk music and stuff like that, where they're doing do-dat, or gospel. Gospel does that a lot.
Comes from the wrist? Is that what you...
Upstroke from the wrist.
The question happened when you were discussing doubles, so I don't...
Oh, I see.
It was in that
yes,
context.
for the doubles, I see. Yes, well, the accent is actually the and. 1, 2,
I'm actually kind of
downstroke is not the loud stroke, is not the downstroke. So here's...
kind of surprised he didn't like pick up on that, to be honest. I mean, he's a way better drummer than I am, so it's not like I'm talking shit on the guy, but that's... Yeah, he definitely did. Like, that's another thing, too. It's like, I know Thomas Lang knows what Moeller technique is.
Play 16 notes, the loud stroke is on the E and A, so it's a finger stroke, just a light tap, and then a wrist stroke. Finger, wrist. So it's fingers and wrist.
Oh, by the way,
Elbow involvement.
a good way to practice this technique is drumming on your leg or like on a pillow, because that's basically, you use that whenever you don't have very much of like a bouncy like surface, because obviously, like I said before, the whole like, so if you have your drumstick, right, your downstroke, the first one is going to be harder, right, and then the bounce kind of comes up a little bit, and then the second hit typically isn't as hard. You can't really use that bouncing technique though. Kind of hear how that second one is a little bit quieter. You can't really use that on something that doesn't have a ton of bounce, aka something like your toms or something.
At that volume. And the faster you get, the less involvement of the arms and forearms. So if it's a fast double stroke roll, it's really just fingers and wrist. And if I slow it down, the right hand, which camera is good for the hand? So I play one finger stroke and one wrist stroke. You can see my fingers facing up for the finger stroke, and my hand is turning for the second stroke. Soft, soft.
He's almost trying to do the one-handed roll.
And on the wrist stroke, I play a rim shot or a loud note. And that I do with both hands. It's also great. It's very similar to the Gladstone technique, which is a push and pull technique.
Oh, that's exactly what I was talking about. It's that's how you do the one-handed roll. Buddy Rich actually made that famous, and Jojo Mayer did it in a Modern Drummer.
Now here's only when I play double strokes, I only use 2 of those.
In fact, you want to see something cool? Let's see if we can't do this real quick. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this in this angle. So we see this drum pad right here. Let me see if the camera is picking it up. Hold on one second. Okay, so I hope you guys can hear this, but push, pull, right? So I don't know if my shitty webcam is going to be able to pick that up properly. But I hope you guys got that. Push pull is really, really cool. It's not something you use a ton, but I found that like for percussion and stuff, there's some really cool applications in which you can use that in. Same thing with like drum set too. Oh, are we losing stream? Oh, just make sure I don't lose you guys. I think I had like an internet blip there for a second. I think we're back though.
Cool. That's just from Chris Warunke. He says, "Hi Thomas, when I was on tour in the UK, I came across a rare solo album of yours from the mid-90s. I think you were doing lead vocals and someone else might have been on the drum kit.
It was me too.
Could you tell us more about this side to your career, and do you plan on doing another album as a frontman?"
The answer is no. Yes, I was singing and I was a frontman and making records like that in the 90s. And it was fun, and I do still make a lot of records and write music and play and sometimes also sing and perform, but more anonymous than back then.
Okay, so I think he's just gonna do like one more drum solo before he goes and does this. If you guys don't mind like skipping that, I have like I said, I'll show you some of the stuff that I've done. I don't want to leave you hanging on that. But it is past 12, and I still got to take my dog for like an hour-long walk, and I still have to be at the office at like 8:30 tomorrow morning. So time is ticking away right now. So let's do. All right, what do you want to hear first? Do you want to hear something more like metal, or do you want to hear something like softer? Actually, fuck it, we've got time. We can do. I'll do two. I'll do two different videos for you. I have a bunch of different projects, but like we'll do two. Let's do. Softer? Okay, well, we'll start with that. So, this one I did like a long time ago. Oh, that's not right. We'll put this on.
Today, gonna travel far away so I can leave all this stress behind me. I hope a new place can find me, yeah. Tomorrow, gonna make sure this new place is no waste and then life will follow. It's time to take it full throttle, yeah. I'm leaving for Chicago, then it's off to New Orleans.
Thank you.
Headed for Las Vegas and hit every spot in between. Out to California to pick up the finest of greens. We're better than I know. Ain't no homegrown, baby. Gotta see it to believe. Yeah, I'm out the door. And I said I'm out for more. Oh yeah, I'm out the door. And I said I'm out for more.
This is one of my bands.
I'm out the door.
I've kind of hopped around to a bunch of different styles. This is the reggae rock project that I did for a good 3 or 4 years.
And I'm here, I'm loving life, drinking beer, and it all seems so clear to me. My life is finally free.
This music video is like 7 years old though.
And I'm making my move. It's whatever I choose and wherever I want it to be. It's all about me.
Making me feel old.
Yeah, leaving for Chicago, then it's off to New Orleans, headed for Las Vegas, and hit every spot in between. Out to California to pick up the finest of greens. We're better than I know. Ain't no homegrown, baby. Gotta see it to believe. Yeah, I'm out the door. And I said I'm out for more. Oh yeah, I'm out the door. And I said I'm out for more. Oh yeah, I'm out the door.
It's funny too, we shot this music video, we did this all in like a day. It was actually me and my buddy who shot this music video. We couldn't... So something about being very, very resourceful when you're younger. You don't have a ton of money. You basically just figure out how to make things work. So this was like one of my first experiences like getting into like videography and stuff. It was cool. All right, so we'll do that one, and then this one isn't like a music video, but this is just going to be like a live video. So this band I'm about to show you, when I was in high school, I actually got signed to a small record label with the band I was in, and we used to tour. So basically, I don't condone this, but what I did back then was I would, make sure my grades were passing. 2004, dude. Hell yeah, though. I'm not old, but I'm not young either. But anyways, so like back in high school, I just used to like make sure my grades were good, and then I would just like skip class and go play like we would like either play like in Atlanta or just like go on tour. A lot of times we would either tour in the summertime or like for winter break, or spring break too. Spring break definitely, especially when it got a little bit warmer. I live in Florida, so I very clearly remember my first time touring with like my friends who were all like 17 years old, maybe 16 years old. And driving in the mountains in the snow when we didn't know shit about driving in the mountains or the snow. And our van breaking down like multiple times, and then just like being stuck. That was man, there were some cold nights, let's put it that way. Anyway, so this the band I'm going to show you is going to be the one that I did that way, and it is a little bit heavier, so I know you said softer, but just a heads up. This was like a reunion show that we did in 2013 or something. Let me turn it down a little bit. Turn it up? Okay. Trust me, he would take that as a serious compliment. I'll actually be sure to tell him that. That's really funny. That's awesome. Yeah. He's a really good frontman. I'll give him that. And that's it. um, I hope you enjoyed it. It gives you a little bit of like a look into my world. Like I said, I've been around the block when it comes to drumming. I'm super passionate about it. It's, you know, I've had I think like all of us, right? I think we've all had like ups and downs in our lives, and we all still experience those things, and we probably will still have more. For me, music has always been that one thing that is like that is just like it's been something completely separate from like it's weird, like it is my life, um, and it but it's like it's almost like it's separate from life itself for me. That's the best way I can describe it. Um, so, like I said, if I can spread that passion around to other people, um, it's that's something I definitely want to do. Um, and it kind of pains me a little bit too because, like I said before, I feel like I feel at least in Florida, I can say for a fact, Florida. A lot of the schools are kind of going downhill, especially with like music programs and stuff. But even still, I did notice though when I was in college, and this is actually something that really bugs me. It bugs me quite a bit, and this goes with all instruments that they teach in college. There's a lot of kids that go to college who don't have any other experience other than in the um, in they don't have any experience outside of institutions. Um, so this is where you get that kind of weird trope of um, those people that can't they can't play their instrument unless they have music written out for them. It gets a little bit worse than that because there's also this is something that I don't really find anybody talking. I never have seen people talk about this, and I used to have these conversations with my teachers, and they would just act like it's normal. Um, but basically, you'll have these sects of students who, you know, maybe in the worst case scenario, they'll just start playing an instrument in high school, right? So you play 4 years of high school band, which typically isn't that great. Um, and then they'll go into college, right? And then so they'll go to school for about another 4 years. Um, and a lot of times still really not be that great. They'll become a music teacher. Now, 100% right there with them. If they want to be a music teacher because they're super passionate about music, that's so cool. Um, but I find it a little weird that like there's like this circular kind of like job creation thing of people who don't really have any other experience in music outside of you just go to school and that's it, and you play these same exercises and you play these same songs, um, and they don't have any like other experience to kind of add to that. um, I'm not quite sure how I feel about that, and it was one of the reasons why I actually I actually stopped like going to school for music. Mostly, I mean, I love the music theory. I thought that even though I sucked at oral theory, 100%, I'm a drummer, so it didn't come natural to me. Um, I liked all the theory. I liked the piano proficiency, and I had a really good percussion teacher. He opened up my eyes to a lot of things, um, but like I said, I just don't agree with the whole. You're just like you're just kind of stuck in the circular like institution of music as opposed to like having people who have really been around the block per se, and like I'm not even talking about like me or something like that, because I think there are tons of people even who are in the institution who have only done that process who are who are better at like actually teaching. Um, that's just truth, right? They might have different methods that work with certain students better, or maybe all students better. Um, I'm just saying in general, someone who has like that solid institutional um, background mixed with other experience, as opposed to just pumping out teachers, especially nowadays too, where like you're having less and less music programs. You're having music programs being cut. So my solution, my answer to that is trying to create like a platform where I can teach people for free. Like I said, hopefully hit some of those. Yeah, I have a few things where I have a few people I have targeted in mind for this. Basically, students who can't afford lessons, right? Um, Teachers who just want a second opinion, or maybe musicians who just want to try something different. Or actually, there's a fourth option. Um, it could just be like the hobbyist, right? Someone who just plays, like in my case, like drums as a hobby, and they just they want like some free content or something where they can like learn a couple new techniques, and something that'll help them enjoy their time a little bit more while playing an instrument. Um, at the end of the day, with music, I think music should always be like a give back to the world kind of thing. That's just my opinion on it. So, anyways, I'm rambling and it's getting later. So, all of you guys, Rhythmic, um, Alma, I'm not even sure who's all here right now. Anyway, thanks for hanging out. Then we even had uh, Artemis from Twitch. That was cool. Twitch actually typically doesn't go for these kind of things. I've like streamed on there strictly before, and there's not like a huge crowd for like music stuff, but, like drumming in particular. There's a huge crowd for people who do like EDM and like piano and stuff. Little bit less straight like drumming technique and stuff. So I'm glad you guys really enjoyed it. Um, let's do this again. I actually had a really good time, especially explaining this stuff. Um, I will probably. I'm trying to think when the next time. I'll try to be on tomorrow for sure. Everything's kind of going crazy right now, schedule wise, because of the whole coronavirus thing. So I've been called into work at like crazy, insane hours. It's a little annoying to say the least. But let's just plan on doing this again tomorrow. If you can hang out, awesome. If you can't, you can't. If you're followed to me, then I think you get the notification of when I go live. So, come hang out whenever you can. I really appreciate it, and like I hope you guys have a good time too. So, okay. Also too, Rhythmic. In fact, you know what? What I'll do is let's pop up the Discord channel. Um, So here you go. If you want to join like the Discord, we kind of have something called Creatives Group. I might change it to like a personal brand, because the Creatives Group thing kind of has branched off a little bit. But for now, if you guys just like want to come hang out and chat, and especially when I'm streaming, leave me a message. You're all welcome to come hang out, and if you meet friends in there. Also too, like I'll be real, I do game. I actually planned on gaming tonight, but the drum content was fun, and I thought everyone was enjoying it a little bit more, and I'm a drum nerd, so. Anyways, everyone have a good night. I'm gonna head off, and hopefully I get to chat with you guys and talk to you soon. So.